Welcome to another episode of A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. I'm Kellie Raspberry Evans. I'm so happy you could join us today. And guess who else is joining me? My husband and my co-host.
Hello, I'm Alan.
That's Alan Evans. And you found us. Yay, you.
Yes, yay you. Thanks for being here.
It's a good episode. Yes.
This is going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good episode, y'all. It's going to be a kind of heavy episode. We're going to get into some pretty serious subject matter.
Jaw-dropping.
It's upsetting for me as a parent.
It is very unsettling.
We're going to get into that. My daughter, Emma Kellie, is 12 years old. Our other daughter, Brooke, is 14. And, you know, they're trying to establish their independence. They want some freedom. They want to go hang out and do stuff by themselves a lot. And, of course, I'm the nervous Nelly parent that, you know, is afraid something bad's going to happen. Well, you know what? The fact is, something bad could happen. I'm
the nervous Nelly, too, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have any white hair.
So, yeah. Well, I do. I just dye it.
Yeah.
But we have a guest coming on in a little bit in the podcast. She's actually up in Montana, but she's taking time out of her schedule to join us over the phone. And I'm so excited to introduce you to her because she's working with an organization that's doing some really awesome things to stop sex trafficking in this country. Oh, my gosh. Just the thought of it makes me sick, but it's something I think it's really important we need to talk about, and we'll get to that too. But I mean, I don't want to start off on all heavy stuff.
Right.
So let's talk about something fun.
Okay. What you got? You got show content, babe?
Well, I thought you had something fun. No, I'm kidding.
I always have something fun, but
not today.
Not today. Yeah.
So, well, I was actually, you know, we have these little tidbits of news we like to share with people from time to time. And, you know, if we had to pick between you and me, who is in a bad mood more often?
Oh, that's easy. You.
Me. I'll agree with you on that.
No, I'm kind of doing a bit. I think it's 50-50.
Well, truthfully, I think a lot of it has to do with my sleep.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If I got more sleep, I don't think I would be nearly as moody as I am. Sleep affects us so awfully.
It is amazing how much it does. We've talked about this on a lot of podcasts, how much this affects your life and your relationship.
I remember when, one of the morning, I can't remember which one now, of course, but there was one of the ladies that anchored one of the morning news shows like the Today Show, Good Morning America, that kind of thing. No, the National
The National,
one.
Yep.
And she retired from that. And she said, it's that one, oh gosh, I'm not going to sit here and waste time. I can see her face. I can't think of her name. But she said for months after she retired, she could not wake up in the morning. She was just sleeping and she was tired all the time. She just could not drag herself out of bed. It was going on and on and on.
So this is what I have to look forward to.
Well, she said she finally went to she just couldn't get caught up.
Yeah.
And so she finally went to the doctor because she would she would set her alarm clock and get up, but she was just dragging. She was so tired. She was exhausted. And she finally went to the doctor about it and said, look, sleep is like a bank account. And for years you were withdrawing from the bank. You were withdrawing. You were taking out. You weren't getting enough sleep. Now you're making deposits and eventually you'll catch up. So they said there's a lot of people that
a doctor told her that?
Yeah.
Because I'd always heard you couldn't catch up on sleep.
See, there's different people that say that. They said on the weekends, you should still get up at your regular time. No, I've heard opposite, that on the weekends, that is the time. Sleep in an extra hour or two if you can.
Well, then everyone in the United States is sleep deprived.
Everybody's sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Because we're a country that feels like we have to be going, doing, producing.
Yep.
My problem is late at night. And you know that. Late at night, suddenly I get this little burst of energy. And I'll get on the internet. I'm like, I've got to answer all these emails. I've got to schedule this appointment. I've got to, oh my gosh, I haven't checked my bank account lately. Suddenly, the birthday's coming up next week. I've got to get a present ordered in the mail.
I tell Kellie, I'm like, babe, it's 9:45. Babe, it's 10:15. Babe, it's 10:45.
I'm coming. I'll be right there.
Hey, babe, it's 11. You need to get up in about 5 hours.
Okay, I will. I'll be right to bed.
Yeah.
But I just get this like second burst of energy, and that's a problem. And I feel that's America's problem is the lack of sleep. So I think that's why I'm grumpy sometimes and moodier, but we really digressed. According to research, though, what I was going to tell you, the average bad mood lasts about 12 hours.
Oh.
That's a long time.
Now, see, that's where we're blessed in that you have a very short memory. I am becoming to where I have a shorter memory than I used to have. And we get over our bad moods pretty quick.
Pretty quick, because
You do faster than me.
Well, I think I realize this isn't serving anybody. This isn't doing anybody any good.
Just making you feel worse.
The longer I'm wallowing in a bad mood, it makes me feel worse. And then it's making the people around me.
The people around you aren't really too interested in being around you.
Yeah. And I don't like that. I don't
Me either.
I don't want people to not want to be around me.
Same with me.
So I kind of realized that. So I get over it. But you can help me get out of a bad mood sometimes when you do certain little silly things.
Like what?
Like tackling me.
Yeah, that's what I'll do to Kelly. If she's like really about something, it could be about work, whatever. She'll be in the closet. A lot of times you're nude in the closet.
Yeah, you love it when I'm naked.
Yeah, and I'll just tackle you right there on the floor.
Let me just say, it's not like he full force like a football linebacker or whatever. He comes at me in slow motion.
It's a slow motion tackle.
So I know it's coming.
Right.
And I've got to prepare myself. And sometimes if I'm really in a bad mood, I'm like, just get it over with.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then he'll slow motion tackle me and take me down to the ground.
Imagine Kelly and I just kind of crumbling at our knees and then just kind of falling to our knees and then just falling on our sides. That's what the tackle is.
And if I'm in a really bad mood, then I bitch about it. You made me land on my knee this time.
Right. And then I'll put my thumbs up under her underarms and tickle her. She loves that.
I hate it. I hate it. But it works. I mean, I get out of my bad mood.
You do.
So there you go.
12 hours. Yeah, don't let your bad moods last 12 hours.
Get more sleep.
Tackle your spouse.
Let's see.
Lovingly.
What else? I have so many things here. Oh, bad driving gene. Is there a bad driver gene?
Careful.
Why?
Let's hear it.
Why are you saying be careful?
Let's hear it.
Are you saying I'm about to accuse you of being a bad driver?
Let's hear it.
You could blame your DNA for your bad driving. Researchers say that 3 in 10 people have a gene that makes them worse behind the wheel. It's a protein, BDNF, which assists the brain in linking memory to physical responses. People with that bad driving gene produce less of it.
I got no BDNF.
Apparently not. Not only do these people start off with a lower level of driving ability, they have a hard time correcting their mistakes.
In all my years of driving, I have 1 ticket. That was when I was 17. I've been in 1 accident that wasn't my fault. So I don't see how I'm being fingered as a bad driver. You are horrible with directions. I've lost all sense of direction. I don't know what happened.
And I am a woman who knows that when you try to correct your man, that it makes things worse. And men don't like to ask for directions and they don't like to ask for help. So sometimes...
And they like to use their own nav. Their own nav app. They don't want to be forced to use Waze.
But here's what I try to give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll go to a party or something. This is a recent example of going to our niece Violet's skating party.
Okay.
It was a straight shot. There were no turns.
Several turns.
No, there was 1 turn, and that was into the parking lot of the skating rink. It was 1 turn. We drove straight for like 10 miles. I'm not even exaggerating. 10 miles. Turned left into the parking lot for the skating rink, and that was it. When we left the skating rink, Alan turned right out of the parking lot, and then got to the interstate and turned left. He turned left, and I was like, "What's going on? Why'd you do that?" You got mad at me for not correcting you when you were just supposed to go straight for 10 miles.
Can I give you an example of how I feel now when I am somewhere that I don't know where I am?
It's 10 miles
like
straight.
If someone helicoptered you out to the middle of Alaska and dropped you in the middle of the wilderness and said, "Find your way to Anchorage." That's how I feel when I'm somewhere I'm not familiar with.
Alan, you just drove there at 2 hours earlier. It was.
But that's the first time I've been there in my life.
I know, but how can you not pull out of a parking lot and just go straight?
I just explained it to you. I didn't know where I was.
Then why would you turn again?
Because I didn't know where I was.
Here's my point. You're terrible with directions.
That's been established. I need help. I need a navigation app. And I need a good one.
And then he's seething that I didn't tell him to go straight. When otherwise, if I would have told him to go straight, he'd be, "I know." No, you really didn't know. So I don't know what to err on the side of.
I don't know. It's a problem for us. I don't know. And I haven't always been like this. I haven't.
You're getting way forgetful.
Yeah, it's worse as I get older.
Your DNA is kicking in.
BDNF
and another
or
thing
whatever,
that I'm just like nails into the armrest. I get so. if we're running late for somewhere, it's like Alan purposely drives below the speed limit.
Not true. I always drive the speed limit.
That to me, that is below the speed limit. You have at least 8 miles.
Speed limit means don't drive faster than that number.
But that police officer told me they'll give you grace.
He didn't tell me that.
But if you're running late for an appointment, go just a couple miles above the speed limit.
I thought you were a rule follower, man. What's
Not
this?
when it comes to the police officer told me 8 miles above.
I don't like speeding tickets. Again, I've had one in my life.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And puts me in a bad mood that lasts for 12 hours. I'm kidding.
Okay. You want me to drive fast? I can drive fast. I just don't like to do it.
Some people, this is according to the U.S. Department of Energy, have too much stuff. 25% of people with 2-car garages don't have room to park even one car inside of them. Can you believe that?
We have, well, I'm not dropping a dime.
It's ridiculous.
I'm not dropping a dime, but we have a 3-car garage.
Yeah, that came with the house.
Right. And we fill it up with cars.
Well, you've been cleaning it out a lot. There's so much stuff we keep unnecessarily. You've been doing good about, I'm gearing up for another swap party. I got to get rid of some more stuff.
Isn't life just moving your stuff
Getting rid of
from
stuff.
place to place? You move it from your parents' home to college dorm. Then you move it from your college dorm to your first apartment.
And
then
you can't get rid of anything because you might need it.
Right. Then you move it to your first house. Then you move it to your second house. Then you move it to your third house. It's just moving stuff around.
And then you get to a certain age, and I don't know exactly what that age is. You're like, I don't need anything anymore.
Well, we're not at that age.
Well, we're getting better. We're getting rid of some crap.
Well,
we need another swap party.
We'll put it
It's
on,
coming, so get ready.
Put it on the calendar.
Hey, real quick, before we get into our issues with our daughters and wanting to establish their independence and how we're never letting them leave the house, we want to tell you about Liquid IV.
Yes.
Man, this has been a game changer for us this summer. We had a good time this summer. Partying with our podcast family on vacation, partying at Evans Manor around the pool.
Pounded Liquid IV in Mexico.
Yeah, because what happens is you get dehydrated when you're drinking alcohol. You get dehydrated when you're out in the hot summer sun sweating. But now we're slowly going to be gearing up for colder temperatures. People like to go skiing. They like to travel. They get jet lag. A lot of your problems can be solved if you get more hydration. And that's the beauty of Liquid IV.
I love Liquid IV, babe. I know you will too.
Well,
right?
when you add it to your drink, it's like multiplying the liquid you're getting.
Yeah. You just add it to a bottle of water. That's all you do.
Not even water. When we were on our family vacation, one of our girls, Sophia, she mixed it with ginger ale.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you can do that if you want.
She mixed it with ginger ale, and she said she felt so much better immediately. She had a little hangover, and she mixed it with ginger ale. So it's not just with that. But Liquid IV, it fuels you through those tough workouts. It prevents muscle fatigue. A lot of times when you think you're hungry, no, you're just dehydrated. Pop some Liquid IV and you're good.
Absolutely. Well, I love Liquid IV, like I was trying to say a minute ago. I know you will too. Right now, our listeners get 25% off liquidiv.com when you use our code SANDWICH at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order on Liquid IV's website. So go to liquidiv.com, enter our promo code SANDWICH to get your savings and start getting better hydration. That's liquidiv.com, promo code SANDWICH. Don't wait. Start properly hydrating today.
All right, let's get into it with our girls.
All right, let's give her a call.
No, we got to explain. My daughter, Emma Kellie, has been begging us.
I thought we were going to call.
Well, we have to talk about what's going on, why we're talking to the lady.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We've got two girls.
Sorry, I panicked.
That's all right. 14-year-old Brooke and 12-year-old Emma Kellie, who's about to turn 13 in October. And my daughter is, she's a feisty little sassy mouth thing, but, I love her to death. And she has really been begging me lately, Mom, I want to go to the mall with my friends. Can I go? Well, who's going? Because I don't have time to take you. I've got all these things to do. Well, can you just drop us off and then come back and get us later? No. Why not? Because bad things can happen and I don't know what's going on at the mall. This is a nonstop merry-go-round. We can't get off. And I'm not going to let her go to the mall unsupervised because I'm afraid of what could happen to her. And I don't want my daughter to live in fear. So I don't really get real deep with her about what I'm afraid could happen. But basically, I just say, somebody could grab you and I'll never see you again. And Mom, that's not going to happen. I'll be there with my friend. But what if somebody comes along and they grab both of you? It's a fear I have. But we also want our girls to enjoy life and have fun and hang out with their friends.
Yeah.
So it's a predicament, and I want my daughter to love me and not be mad at me every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I've decided that I want to talk to somebody who really knows what's going on, that this is a huge problem, and that's why I've invited our next guest on the show. We actually have Britney Mahugh on the phone right now. She's the development director for Deliver Fund. This was just like a God event. You know, I was at an event, Alan, where I got to be with my pretend boyfriend, weatherman Pete Delkus. I was so excited.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got to meet some interesting people right after, and Britney was one of them. And I found out she worked for Deliver Fund, which I hadn't heard of it at that point. But their sole mission is to rescue people who are caught up in human sex trafficking, which is horrifying. Some of the things that Britney told me, which is why I'm also so paranoid about having our daughters go out and do anything without us being there with them. So, Britney, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We appreciate your time so much.
Absolutely, Kelly and Alan. Thank you for having me.
Now, tell me, I know you've already explained it to me, but for Alan and everyone listening, what exactly it is that the Deliver Fund does?
Yeah, so Deliver Fund is a nonprofit organization. We counter human trafficking, and we do that specifically by training, advising, and equipping law enforcement to hunt down and arrest human traffickers and put them away.
And I really didn't realize, when you hear about sex trafficking, I don't know why, I just don't think of that as being an America problem. But it's a huge problem in the United States.
That's correct, Kelly. And that's one thing that we are really trying to change the narrative on, because many people just don't realize how big of an issue it is here in the U.S. And so, you know, human trafficking is American women and children being trafficked by American men and women, primarily to American men. And that's the reality of what is happening here in the United States. It's not just a border crisis issue. You know, it's not people being shipped across in containers like you see in the movies. Mm-hmm. That happens, yes, but that is not the majority of what's happening here in our country.
And Britney,
it's our children.
Yeah, and how, you know, you mentioned this is American children and American men and women who are doing this. Where is this most prevalent? Is it in all 50 states, or is it more border states, or where is this happening?
Scary enough, it's everywhere. It happens, you know, obviously in the major metroplexes, but also in the very small towns and communities across the country. My husband's from a smaller town up in Montana, and you know, I think we had 3 cases last year of human trafficking, and so it happens right under our noses every day.
Well, there are a lot of my girlfriends get together, and we all have daughters. And we talk about the rumors. Did you hear about what happened to so-and-so's friend's daughter? They were at a nightclub, and the next thing she knows, she's talking to somebody, and he touches her on the neck, and he drugged her, and she was almost, you know, dragged out of there to be in sex trafficking. And then when I told somebody we were going to be talking to, they said, this is happening at the mall. This girl went into the bathroom, and the next thing she knows, she was drugged, and somebody was trying to grab her and take her out of the mall. Are those rumors true, or is that just a lot of fear mongering going on?
No, it's absolutely true. It happens like that. I mean, more so, I think a lot of times the children are groomed over a longer period of time, usually online or through social media. But the abductions do happen. That is a very real threat. We had one of our analysts, actually, Tara Smith, our senior targeting analyst, was down in Houston recently presenting to a group of mall security guards. And she spent some time prior to her presentation at the local mall. And, you know, she was able to pick out several incidents of human trafficking, you know, as far as like actual traffickers lurking around, you know, waiting on potential victims. She actually witnessed what she believed was potentially a victim with her trafficker. A lot of times, you know, these traffickers really try to woo the girls, if you will, and they, lavish them with gifts, and it's more of like a love affair type thing. They gain these girls' trust. They offer them, designer purses, things like that. And you see them out at the malls, and the girls, they stick pretty close to their trafficker, because it's all a form of manipulation and fear, right? Oftentimes, they won't look up. They'll walk behind their trafficker. There's different, I guess, signs that we look for. But it happens every day at the malls across the country.
That's scary to know that we might be walking by these people in the mall, and we either brush aside that gut feeling that something's wrong. We don't want to get involved. We don't want to falsely accuse someone, and then we're embarrassed. So,
right.
What do we do if we suspect something's just off? If we see something like that at the mall or out in the neighborhoods and things like that?
Well, you can't be too cautious. I think, in this day and age, you should definitely report any suspicious activity. If you see something, say something, I think is the catchy phrase, and that's absolutely what you should do. Report that activity to a security officer or a law enforcement officer.
And never on your own.
And that way,
I wouldn't think you'd want to approach on your own. Yeah.
You don't. I mean, unless you're in a situation, and that's just a personal decision. I mean, if you're in a situation where somebody's life is in danger, and you can
immediate
act
action
accordingly, right? But I mean, otherwise, that's not a good idea. Always report it to a law enforcement officer if possible, and let them investigate and take action.
Brittany, both of our daughters have cell phones, of course. 14 and 12. And we are pretty, I don't know if lax is the right word, but we let them kind of self-govern themselves on their cell phones. Because
they're good girls.
Because they're good girls, and they're pretty responsible girls. But is there a platform that this happens more on, on social media? Or how does this happen or transpire over the internet or on a phone?
Yeah, there's so many platforms out there, so many different apps, and us as parents, we don't often hear about them until much later, right? Our kids are much more tech savvy than us these days. And
I just learned what TikTok
they know
is.
About all the, they know about all the cool apps before we do, unfortunately. And so I don't know the statistics to say, which one is worse than the other. But, clearly there are multiple social media apps out there. There's online gaming platforms that the traffickers use to communicate and lure the children away. There's various things available out there. And I know, your daughter's 12 and 14. Gosh, that's just such a vulnerable age. As a matter of fact, the average age of teens that enter the human trafficking market are between the ages of 12 to 14 years old. So that's really scary.
It's horrifying. And so when my daughter's begging me, you don't trust me, nothing's going to happen, Mom, I'll be there with my friends. What do I say to her without going into the scary, awful, or do I need to go to the scary, awful places with her and scare her into not wanting to go to the mall without me?
Right. Communication is so important, and I think making our children aware of the real threats that are out there is absolutely necessary, especially, in this day and age. Unfortunately, our children have lost the right to grow up as children. If you're not telling them about something and having those conversations, most likely they're hearing about it through other kids at school. And so I think it's very important to give them the right information, and to give them the facts. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of those facts are very scary these days because there are real threats out there. There are very real predators, that are lurking out there trying to prey on our children.
Well, according to the facts that I got from your website, deliverfund.org, it said, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, there are reports of human trafficking in the United States. They have increased by 846% over 5 years. And those are just the reported incidents, not the ones that don't get reported. Between 100,000 and 150,000 victims are held right now as slaves in the United States. On average, an American child is trafficked every 2.5 hours. What is Deliver Fund doing to attack those numbers and to target? What are you doing to make this problem stop?
Yeah, and so, just to touch on those numbers very quickly, I think those are very conservative numbers. There's a lot of data out there, but there's just not really good data.
Yeah.
And, that statistic by NCMEC, the 846%, that was over the course of 5 years from a study that was done between 2005 and 2010. And if you think back to that 5-year time span, how did that number rise so exponentially? Well, we had the iPhone released, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these smartphone technology platforms come out. And so it goes back to the changes in technology. And so Deliver Fund actually uses the same technology, that the human traffickers are using, mainly through online platforms and social media. We're using that technology against them. We partner with law enforcement to hunt down and locate the traffickers. Deliver Fund is not an organization that operates covertly in the United States, right? That type of organization doesn't exist. Everything that we do has to be discoverable, and we are not law enforcement. So we're not going around kicking in doors trying to make these rescues ourselves. We actually partner with law enforcement because that is their job in the United States. And so we exist to resource them and make them better. We provide them with the tools and technology that they need. And a lot of that is actually done through just prior experience among our staff. The Deliver Fund is comprised of former special operations personnel, intelligence agency personnel from the FBI, CIA, NSA, and they use that same experience that they have in their previous lives with counterterrorism to now counter human trafficking here in the U.S.
Alan, they have former Navy SEALs that are working. I mean, it's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, well, I hope they do, because another statistic we have here in front of us, and it just blows me away, that human trafficking in America is worse than it is overseas. And Brittany, this is almost $1 billion business per year. People are $975 million of trade here. This is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we get really frustrated at times because there are a lot of really good organizations out there with good, honest intentions that are, battling this issue, and, they're fighting it overseas. But if you really look at human trafficking globally, it is driven by the American male and the American dollar. So Deliver Fund believes that if you want to fight it worldwide, you have to start in the United States.
Where the money is.
Yeah. But
exactly.
And one of the coolest things that Deliver Fund, tell everybody where your offices are at this point in time.
Yeah, so really great story. You may be familiar with Backpage.com, and a lot of people are really surprised when they learn that Backpage was actually based in Dallas, Texas. And Backpage was the biggest
go ahead. I was
purveyor of escort ads. And within those escort ads, there was a lot of prostitution happening. And within that, there was a lot of human trafficking and also human trafficking of minors. And so Deliver Fund was one of the intelligence sources that provided information, intelligence, if you will, to the feds, as well as 3 state AG's offices. And that intelligence led to Backpage getting seized. So their website, their offices, everything was seized April of 2018. And about that same time last year, Deliver Fund was looking for a new headquarters. So we were originally based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And my husband, Jeremy, who's from Montana, he was spending a lot of time in Dallas, and really Dallas was selected because it was a great central hub. Since we bring law enforcement personnel in from all over the country, we really needed a great central location for everybody to be able to fly in and out of for this training that we offer. And he started calling around some of his friends that were in real estate and, looked up the old backpage.com address and discovered that office space was available in Dallas. And so February of this year, 2019, we actually moved into the old office space of Backpage.
How about that?
Good for you.
One of the biggest problems, they're now headquartering out of there. Isn't that cool?
That's a big nanny boo-boo right there.
And what happens when you, like all those people that were involved with Backpage, are they all in prison now? What happens to the bad guys when you do catch them? Or when the police catch them, I guess I should say.
The CEO took a plea deal, and so, but a lot of people were caught up in that and are spending some jail time. So there was pretty hefty charges. Mainly money laundering also was a big thing that I think they got hit with.
Jeez.
And when these girls
that's what the feds are looking at.
And when these girls and women are rescued, what's their next step? I mean, I can imagine this wrecks them for potentially the rest of their lives unless they get the proper counseling and therapy. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Right. Yeah, and I should mention too that I know Backpage basically was found to be complicit in selling minors for sex. So they were aiding in manipulating those advertisements to list underage girls through their site.
Unbelievable.
But as far as the victims, there's so many wonderful organizations out there that specialize in the victim restoration services. It's very unfortunate, but one of these statistics out there says that the lifespan of a victim is generally about 7 years after they enter the human trafficking market. 7 years before, their trafficker, either no longer has a need for them or, they're so addicted to drugs that they can no longer work, or they become homeless and just, obviously, you can imagine just very terrible things that end up happening to them. And so super sad. Obviously, we are striving every day to make sure that we get to those victims before they hit that limit. But again, there's many great organizations out there. Deliver Fund partners with some of them. I think what I'd like to mention is that there's really three ways to fight this problem. And, you can fight it by donating to the organizations that offer the rehabilitation services. And right now in our country, there is a great need for that. I mean, we talked about the numbers, right? Hundreds of thousands of American women and children currently enslaved here in America. So clearly there's a great need for those rehabilitation services. You've got a lot of organizations that are fighting this issue by going after the demand and the purchasers. There's a lot of sting operations that historically law enforcement conducts to round up those purchasers and shame them. And, we believe that that's also very important. But the problem is that resources are not being allocated proportionately, because if we want to fight this issue, we've got to attack it from all three angles. And the angle that Deliver Fund attacks it from is by going after the human trafficker at the top, because we believe that's the ultimate form of prevention. Mm-hmm. If there are no human traffickers, then there can't be any victims.
Right. So that was number one? Just donate to organizations that offer the rehabilitation services for these former sex slaves. And also, I know that on deliverfund.org, they accept donations there if you believe in the battle they're fighting and want to take it from the top down. That's what Deliver Fund's mission is. How else can we get involved?
Right. Well, and on the victim services side, we had some conversations recently with some government people in Texas, and they realized that if they keep putting all of their resources towards victim services, they're not effectively attacking the problem,
right.
because they're just going to continue to dump more and more money into that every year.
Right.
We've got to go after these traffickers and, make the risk so high that it doesn't make sense for them to operate.
Right.
That's the key, is raising the risk in the market so that they'll go find another job.
What else can we do besides donate our money to these organizations?
I think money is key, especially, you look at our operations. The only way for us to be effective is to scale nationally, and that costs money. Law enforcement agencies typically don't have the funding and resources they need to be able to get the training, such as what Deliver Fund offers. And we try as best as we can to fund those officers through our private donations. So we're always in need of funding to be able to get more officers trained so they can effectively hunt down the traffickers and get them off the streets. So I think for us, that's critical.
Yeah.
But also just spreading awareness. And back to the topic of our children, I think just really communicating with our kids, and providing them the facts and information that they need to know when they're out in situations such as, going to the mall with their friends. There's Deliver Fund, just so your listeners are aware, we have a monthly newsletter if anybody is interested. And within that monthly newsletter, it's called The Targeter, but we provide a section that's called Kevlar for Your Kids. And so every month we provide helpful tips to parents on how to protect their children, primarily against the dangers found online. They can sign up for our newsletter by going to the website at www.deliverfund.org, and then they'll receive that monthly communication.
I'm signing up for it.
I know that they're...
I am. I want to keep my children protected.
There's some great information in there, and we also like to share various success stories about the operations that we're involved in. Obviously, we can't provide, too specific of details. A lot of times there are underage, victims involved. But I think just getting that awareness out there to parents is really helpful so they know about the real dangers. Some of our past newsletters have featured stories that talk about a 10-month-old infant who was rescued in an operation where we were actually going after a trafficker. Now, this particular infant was not being sexually abused, but there were multiple signs of physical abuse, including bruises and cigarette burns on his feet. And I've got a 9-month-old, so those cases that we are involved in. It's just so hard to even imagine that another human being, is capable of doing those cruel things to a child. And but luckily that baby was rescued. His mother was also caught up in the operation. I believe she was probably aiding the trafficker. What people, I think oftentimes overlook is that there are a lot of women involved in the business. Men recruit women. Usually the women start out being trafficked, but then over time, they end up being an aid to the trafficker. And so they will actually help in grooming potential victims, and it's a very sick business.
It is sick, but I'm so glad that the Deliver Fund's out there, and that I'm so glad that I got to meet you. I've learned that my daughter will never go to the mall ever without me being there. The risk is too great. So no matter how much your kids nag you and hate you in the moment, you're doing what's best for them.
That's what we struggle with, Brittany. I mean, it's almost as parents, it's a balance between, that living in fear and also
giving them independence,
giving them a little bit of independence, and that's where we are right now. It's where in that gray area do we get involved, and how much do we get involved?
Yeah, it's tough.
We don't want them to grow up scared,
right.
But we also definitely don't want anything like this to happen.
You want to be realistic.
Right.
Well, and I think it's, it's a decision that every parent has to make, and it's an individual decision. And it's hard, to tell your children no to everything, right? Because you don't want them to go out and start doing things behind your back, because that's when they really get in trouble, when they feel like they can't, trust you to tell you the truth. And so it is a fine line that I think we walk as parents. And, again, like our son is only 9 months old, so I'm not there yet. I mean, I can say, knowing what I know and what we see just in our daily work, I mean, I wouldn't allow my 12-year-old daughter to go to the mall without a parental figure. But the other thing too is knowing who these other parents are, and that's what's scary too. Is even trusting that your son or daughter can go off to a sleepover. It's like we've got to know so much information these days, and you can never ask too many questions, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you should ever feel guilty, for asking those questions and getting information.
That's a great point.
From other parents.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Britney,
never feel like it's too much.
Well, Britney, thank you so much. I know we've taken up more of your time than I promised we would, but I think your information is so important. If you want to get involved, and like she said, money is what they need. They've got to fund these operations and stop this problem from the top down. And that's what the money you donate goes towards when you donate to the Deliver Fund. So go to deliverfund.org if you want to donate, if you want to get signed up for that monthly newsletter, which I think will have some great information to help keep our children safe. And remember, it's not just the little girls we have to worry about. We have to worry about our sons, too. We kind of have this image of girls in our head, but it's boys, too.
Yeah.
So, Britney,
absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Britney.
Thank you, Kelly and Alan. Great talking with you.
Thank you. We'll be in touch
too.
soon. Thank you, Britney.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Wow. I mean, I know we try to keep things really lighthearted a lot of times on A Sandwich and Some Lovin'.
Well,
we
sometimes.
try to. But I mean,
The last couple haven't been that way.
yeah, we've been, we also have to talk about the serious stuff that's going on in the world around us.
Yeah.
And being parents to young children. I remember when Emma Kellie was just a baby, and I would look at her sometimes when it was her bath time, and I would make myself almost sick thinking, what if something happens to her? What if somebody touches her? What am I going to do? I don't know. I don't know. It's just such a scary thing to be a parent.
I know exactly what you mean. One of my all-time scariest moments as a parent was when I took my 3 kids to the mall, and Dylan was a little toddler, and he toddled off. I turned my back for literally 5 seconds, babe.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And I turned around. He was gone. And I could not find him for a good 15 minutes.
Horrifying.
It was at the play place. And I finally found him because a security guard picked him up and brought him back to the play place. He had run all the way down to the end of the mall. And I turned my back literally 5 seconds.
I know.
So your heart just drops when you hear stories like this. It's like, where is it safe for my kids to go?
Where is it safe? That's the thing. And, I don't know if we made people feel better or worse, because I think a lot of this is just we're naive to what's going on around us. And I think we do need to know what's going on. And,
Absolutely.
you got to be a bad guy with the parents. I want to be my daughter's friend. And that's the wrong approach. I've also got to just sometimes be like, no, I'm the bad mom and you're not doing it. And you can be mad and pout and go in your room and, say you hate me under your breath. But it's my responsibility to protect her.
And I think that's totally okay, babe. At that age, they don't have the maturity, the processing power to understand what's out there.
Yeah.
We as adults know that there are good people in this world, but there's evil in this world.
That's unfortunate.
And you don't want to get caught up in it, and it's our job as parents to make sure that doesn't happen as best we can. And so you're fine. I'm fine telling the kids, no, you can't do that right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to feel bad about it.
Yeah. But I also don't want to go dragging around the mall after them either. Well, there's that problem too.
I've offered that.
I know.
I've told the girls, hey, I'll be glad to take you to the mall, but, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
And then
I'll lag a little bit behind.
That's what I said. I said, you guys can walk and I'll be glad to, here's some spending money even. And you guys go walk, do your thing. Now I'm just going to kind of lag behind you a little bit because I know it ain't cool to be walking around with me.
My my daughter's friend's mom does that. She goes with them and she lets them wink, wink, go shopping by themselves.
Yeah.
And she's tailing them like an undercover agent.
Yeah.
The whole time she's got her eyes on them, and they think they're, on their own, but they're not.
And
so I don't know.
Think about this though, babe. I don't want to get too far in front of life here, but we're talking about kids that are 12 to 14.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon our daughters are going to be driving and they're going to have that independence. Then after that, they're going to go off to college and be somewhere else and have that independence.
And the nightclubs in that scene,
Yeah. I mean,
you
it's
can't
like
protect them forever.
You will have white hair at age 40 if you're always worrying about this kind of stuff. And you should to some extent as a parent, I think. But like like we told Britney, there's kind of this gray area. Like, how much independence do you grant? And how much are you involved as they get older?
Right. Well, they have to be smart. Like when girls do go out to nightclubs together, when you're in college, you all go out, you have to have each other's backs. No man left unaccounted for, like the buddy system. It has to be that way because like I was just telling Brittany, the rumors, my girlfriend's friend's daughter, that's how it is, was at a club and it was two girls went together. One went to the bathroom, one stayed behind. She was talking to a man and a woman. Next thing she knows, she was drugged. They slipped something to her. The friend comes out of the bathroom in time, thank the Lord, and realized my friend's like suddenly falling over. She was fine 2 minutes ago when I left her, and they were going to drag her out of that club. So it happens not just to the little kids being groomed, but it's in nightclubs. It's women in malls, women my age. I see those posts sometimes on social media where they say, this is happening to 30 and 40-year-old women. They don't care. If they see a vulnerable target, they hit on it. Now, the most vulnerable are the 12 to 14-year-olds, the people who, like she said, are on social media telling them, your parents are such jerks. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. You should, and then it's not just like a 1 week process. They take months to groom these kids and to get them to get your mom to let you go to the mall. Hey, I'll meet you at the food court.
Yeah, that's that age
that kind
where
of thing, and your kids will lie to you.
That's that age where they're coming out of being a kid, but they're still kid-like in some ways.
Yeah.
But then they kind of see the teenage years on the horizon, so they think, I got this independence now. I'm becoming a little more independent. I can do these kind of things. That's why I think you struggle sometimes, or not you. We as parents, all of us struggle sometimes communicating with our daughters. It's like they're not little girls anymore. But they're definitely not mature enough to know what's out there.
No. Well, on that happy note, one thing I don't have to go to the mall for, honey?
What's that?
Is to get a bra.
No, you don't go. No, you're not going to the mall anymore to get a bra.
Yeah, let me slam the brakes on that subject and shift gears here. But, I do, what do I say? Get the most comments on the Third Love bras.
Third Love.
A lot of our listeners have taken my advice and they've gone to thirdlove.com and they've taken that Fit Finder quiz. And because of all the information, I mean, a million women have probably taken this Fit Finder quiz to date. And what the people at Third Love do is they use that data to create even more bra sizes. Right now, they have more than 70 sizes. Sizes you can't even imagine. You think you can't find a bra to fit you properly? You go take that Third Love Fit Finder quiz. Over 12 million women have taken that quiz to date, by the way. And every customer, once you get the bra in, when you find out you've been wearing the wrong size all along, you get the right size with Third Love. You have 60 days to wear it, wash it, you test it out. And if you don't love it, you return it. Third Love will wash it and donate it to a woman in need. I love that about Third Love. It's going to be the most comfortable bra you'll ever wear. You're going to forget you even have it on.
And Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone. So right now they're offering our listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/sandwich now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/sandwich for 15% off today.
All right, babe. Well, I'm kind of exhausted. This subject has me nervous and upset, and when you expend that kind of energy, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, heavy subjects like that kind of get your heart racing, especially when it has to do with your children.
Yeah. But next, let's make a commitment. Next podcast, we're gonna bring the funny.
We're gonna bring the funny. But here, I will say this, and I believe this at the bottom of my heart.
Okay.
There are more good people in this world than there are evil people.
I would like to believe that.
I think that's a true statement. I think that that's a true
And
statement.
just because somebody doesn't agree with you politically or whatever, that doesn't make them evil people.
I'm not talking
We're
about that.
talking about the evil people that are in this type of people.
I'm talking about these kind of
Yes.
things, the drug dealers, the human traffickers.
Awful.
There are a
Special
lot
place
more
in hell.
good guys trying to fight these bad guys, and I believe that, and they're going to get them. They're going to find them, and they're going to get them.
I hope so. And I hope it makes news, blast their face all over the news. It needs to be brought out. It's a subject that's not being talked about enough. But we talked about it here on A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. We might have struck the fear of God in you a little bit. And hopefully, we've given you a mission that you can start helping people like this with the Deliver Fund. Again, that's deliverfund.org. And thank you so much to Britney Mahugh for being here with us today as our special guest. We don't do it a lot, but when we do, I think that was a really special one.
All right, babe. Well, this was a tough one, but good information. I love you desperately.
I love you.
I love our listeners desperately.
Let's go take a nap. I'm exhausted.
But I am sure we will do this again real soon. And in the immortal words of the great Keanu Reeves, life is good when you have a good sandwich. Bye.